Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to a brand new episode of Friday Night WrestleCast. I'm your host, Richard Billy Jr., and tonight I'm joined by Mr. Adam Vale. How's it going, Mr. Vale?
It's going. The world of wrestling is crazy. This is a crazy time we live in.
Yes, it's been a very eventful week for wrestling. Um, we're definitely going to have a lot to say about that. We are also joined by Miss Dana Abercrombie. How's it going, Dana?
It's going wonderful.
You sound very enthusiastic.
I'm so excited.
Yes. So obviously, tonight we're going to be giving our predictions for NXT TakeOver 25, which will be taking place Saturday night, and I believe it's in Connecticut. Which is a very random location for some people, especially for a show of this magnitude. But we'll get into that later. Before we touch on that, though, we do have to talk about a couple of things that happened this week. Now, I'm going to pass the mic over to Dana first because she interviewed a very important person this week. So, Dana, the floor is yours. Please feel free to tell us who you interviewed this week.
Okay, wonderful. I was at the Book Expo today, and this is an event where all of the authors and publishers come together and basically try to sell you their book. John Cena was down there. He had written a book called Elbow Grease. It is going to be published by Penguin Random House. It's a very cute and very adorable. It's a kid story. This is like for children. And it's basically about a little monster truck who is really small than all his little brothers, but he tries to, be the big guy and to show what, even though he lacks power horse, he can make up by being really strong and dedicated and believe in himself. So it's really cute. And John Cena was there. He was talking about his book. And, it kind of ventured off into a little bit of WWE and not a direct mention of AEW. He didn't say, oh, AEW. He just had a very thinly veiled discussion about how him as a wrestler, he's been doing this for like over 15 years, how he invents, they have communications, and he doesn't like to question the boss. Whatever Vince wants to do, he does it without question, without ask. And because of that, and that kind of mentality that he does in life, where he kind of came off as being, and I don't want to, say that he's a follower, but the way how he kind of phrased it was that he is a follower.
He's a company man. That's pretty much it. He's a company man.
He's a company man, and how he was a follower and not a leader, and anything that Vince does or asks of him, he will 100% back him, which is the complete opposite as to say Dean Ambrose, who was asked to do a lot of pooper scooper references and skits, and he was like, this is stupid, as we all know through the Chris Jericho podcast. Yes.
Yeah, but I think, and we'll get into that part of that whole podcast after, but I think a lot of that just has to do with how Vince sees certain people. Like, that's one thing that Dean had mentioned. He was like, well, this is who you are. This is how they see you. So he saw him as a fool in that way. He doesn't see Vince. He doesn't see Cena that way. He's never seen him that way, which is why Cena's never really had to do any of those silly type of characters and skits.
Very true. Very true. That's true as well. But he was also talking about, how his career, anything that he does, he likes to learn from, and he believes very much in, philosophical beliefs, and he always likes to question himself and ask what his purpose is. And he was able to make these transitions from being a wrestler to, remember, originally he was a rapper and everything in between, by him just basically going out there and trying hard and then questioning what he can do in life. And it was really weird because he doesn't like to get to become, stale, which is kind of like 15 years of him being the baby face, but whatever. Yeah, it was just a really interesting, it was boring. I'm good. Yeah, I'm good. It was just boring. The man was giving. You ever hear those politicians just basically talk and you're telling you everything that you want to hear, and you don't necessarily know whether or not they believe that, but they're just giving you that very professional answer, and but they're not going deep down with their answer and really discussing things. They're giving you that
Well,
surface.
it was scripted in his head. I'm sure he knew he was going to get these type of questions, and that's why they have publicists. I don't know if he had a publicist. Did he have a publicist? Was there someone with him?
Yeah, he has plenty of people with
Yeah.
him.
So
Yeah.
then that's it. So they feed him the songs like, hey, if you get asked any of these questions, read this. Remember this. This is what you have to say. You know, I remember many years there was a certain DJ that, and I was very surprised. This is with Tommy Boy Records. So I didn't even want to say this DJ's name because the record label's gone, but he was a very respectable DJ from Brooklyn. And out of nowhere, I'm like, all right, we're gonna go do this. Like, yeah, we're gonna do this in my car, you know, because I want to hang out, I like to drive and talk. I'm like, okay. And I thought it was just gonna be, me and him. Nope. This woman comes down and she's sitting in the back seat and she's grilling me the whole time. And whatever questions I asked, now this is just a DJ. She was like, no, he doesn't need to answer that. Ask another question. I'm like, what the hell is he? He's not even a politician. Like, this is regular shit. Like, oh, did you ever work with this guy? We don't want to talk about those type of things. All right, let's move on to something. Can you stop mentioning this guy and this one? Are you going to put this in our? I'm like, I could not believe this. And it wasn't like I was asking for gossip or some controversy or beef or anything. Just random shit like, oh, who's popping up on your album? And when you do mixes, like, do you have to clear certain things? Right? Oh, well, we'd rather not talk about this. And he just sat there, he was just driving and was like, whatever. And then afterwards I called up because he gave me his personal cell phone. He wanted me to let him know when I was going to post it. And I called him and said, hey, by the way, that woman said, that label provides her. He's like, that's not my manager or anything. The label just says, she goes with anybody who has to do any interview. She just shows up. And we're supposed to just like whatever she says goes. But that was it. They want to go on a rant, but it's just a publicist type shit.
Yeah, it basically felt like that. It felt like he was somebody who felt like a robot. He literally talked like a robot. And, when I kind of equated to the politician thing, because when I interviewed Arnold Schwarzenegger many years ago for, I think, Maggie at the time, he gives you those very, surface type answers. But I will say one thing that they do share in common. They do make you feel like you are the only person in the world that matters, and that his time, he personally, took his time out to speak to you, and that he cares about being in the room with you, but he is not telling you anything. So that's basically what happened for like a good 45 minutes.
Wow. So just because you ended that off with the perfect line, he's not telling you anything. Let's segue over to another individual who told us a lot of information about how WWE creative is behind the scenes. As you guys already mentioned, Jon Moxley had his interview podcast with Chris Jericho that was released on Wednesday, and I know everybody has been talking about this podcast and all that he had to say about working with Vince and all the bad things. So I'm gonna go to you first. I'll go to you first, Dana, because I know Adam has already said, with the whole situation with John Cena is obviously John Cena looked upon as the top guy, as star, so Vince obviously treated him differently from Ambrose. But what were your thoughts after you heard everything that Jon Moxley had to say on the podcast?
This literally comes at no surprise, and you could just look at the WWE programming itself, and that Vince clearly thinks that certain people are just complete asinines and their jokes, and he doesn't take them seriously, and he does not listen to the audience. I thought it was really interesting when John was kind of referring to Vince thinking that remember he had to when he was facing Nia. I think during the was it the men's Royal Rumble? I'm not sure. But when she had that weird
when she jumped into the ring.
Yeah, when she had that weird little twist thing and she jumped in and ended up facing Dean Ambrose, and the crowd like loved it and ate it up, and Vince thought that somehow was demeaning to have, a woman basically lay down flat. So that was interesting, and it kind of just shows the mindset of Vince. Vince is stuck in, I don't know, that kind of circus type mentality from the 90s and the 80s, and it just doesn't translate well.
Well, I'm just gonna say, I feel like every promotion does that though. When someone's gonna leave, they squash them, they embarrass them, and they squash them because they don't want them to leave with any heat.
Except Angle.
What?
Kurt Angle.
Oh, Kurt Angle. Well, that season Olympic gold medalist, and he lied, straight up lied. He said he was and they knew he had health issues and stuff, and he said he was going to take care of that. They didn't know that he was going to go and just go back into wrestling.
Dean never said he was going to leave because of AEW. Dean
they knew not AEW, but they knew he was going to leave because he wanted to do something else. He made it vocal. Even in that interview, he told them he did not like the storylines. He did not like that he didn't have creative control with a lot of things. And come on now, when you work with someone and everyone works, everyone's a gossip. Co-workers' issues. So I'm sure there's a lot of people that, I don't want to call them snitches, but they'll tell the boss what's going on. Yeah, he's in the back over there bitching. He doesn't like this segment. He doesn't like that segment. So then when that same guy tells you, oh, I'm leaving, I'm not signing. Yeah, you're going somewhere else. We pretty much know. You're not going to retire, right? You're too young to retire. What, he's 33 years old? Come on.
But you can also argue that with Luke Harper. And Luke Harper, why didn't they just take him off of TV like Luke Harper?
But, it's because they can make money. It's all about money. Like he even said it. He said it even after he left and his thing was over. Freaking Vince McMahon sends him a text saying, hey, can you just jump on for the European tour? Let's just ride this out with the Shield, because it's all about money. He said they make a lot of money doing those Shield things, especially when it comes to the merch and all that. So that's all Vince cares about.
CM wasn't buried. And he made it very well known that he couldn't stand the company or Vince.
But they figured he'd cool down. He's had other little walkout tantrums before. Remember? So they just figured, we'll give it to. And you hear recently Sasha Banks, and now it sounds like she's going back. They said she had a meeting with Vince. I mean, it's all rumors. It's all rumors, people. But rumor is that she did have that meeting with Vince, and they worked things out. They worked out some kind of deal with her schedule and some other stuff, and she'll be back. So if that goes through, there you go. I mean, everybody's got their own issues, what can make or break them, but who knows? But we'll see.
I don't know. And the thing is that with the whole situation, everything that John, it's so weird calling him Jon Moxley. His name is Dean Ambrose.
Shit, I forgot what's Moxley. And I it's funny with Moxley because I've watched CZW and I've watched a lot of those crazy federations. CZW was the craziest with the weed whackers and stuff. But the thing is that I remember seeing him there and didn't think much of it because I knew his partner, Sammy Callahan, was his tag partner over there. He was a badass, and eventually they feuded and got real bloody. But I do remember when eventually I saw Dean in NXT. I'm like, yo, this fool's not going to last. He's not one of these type of WWE wrestlers. He's all about violence and blood. I mean, if you type in Jon Moxley in Google, and you'll see some bloody pictures of him. He was all into the hardcore lifestyle. So I'm like, what is WWE going to do with him? So I'm really amazed that he even got this far with them. And the fact that he decided he wants to leave, he wants to get back into that. That's what he loves to do. That's the type of wrestling he loves to do, and nothing wrong with it. I enjoy watching that type. It's just I'm really surprised that he even stuck around this long in a PG-13, not even 13 sometimes, environment.
Yes, I can. The thing is that I think the whole downfall kind of was when the Shield broke up. But here's the part that I have the biggest problem with the most. When he was explaining that his heel turn was on the exact same day as when Roman announced he had the cancer, his leukemia came back. And Vince wanted that line to be thrown in that he wouldn't say on the air because it was so offensive to not only Roman, who was going through real cancer, but just people who are cancer survivors in general. That is what threw me.
No, it doesn't. It didn't throw me off. Remember what happened with Charlotte Flair and her brother, and they brought that story in, and now her brother's dead. That's a real death, and they still want to do it. It's all about the heat. Vince lives in a bubble. To him, this is a TV show. It's all fiction. So no one should get offended by anything.
I don't ever remember. Did they ever bring up Owen?
Did they? No, I don't think they brought up Owen because there was no one else really to bring up Owen. None of the Bret Hart wasn't there. They didn't. He never came back as a wrestler. With Flair, it was different. She was
But
back. She was wrestling.
Brett screwed Brett. No, Owen was alive then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. So I don't think there was any, but if let's say somebody from the family was there, like they never went down that road with Natty, but they did throw a lot of jokes about her dad, and they did that sort of thing. And he's all about cheap heat. He doesn't care. No one's ever supposed to take it serious. And that's one thing that I always picked up from what's his name that just went back there to write. Oh, how am I? Bruce Pritchard. Bruce Pritchard, whenever he would talk on his show, and people were like, oh man, how could you have written this? How could you have agreed to this? What? It's just a show. It's just a show. Don't take it serious. And that's it. And that's the same way Vince sees it. It's like, so what? Yeah, it's just like he'll have bullies, but then he'll have these anti-bullying campaigns. But you have wrestlers that are bullies. They're portrayed as bullies. Oh well, it's different. This is just a show. It's an act. Don't take it serious. So I'm not surprised by that. We hear it all the time. A lot of these wrestlers that, I was told to do this, I don't want to do it, and next they start dumping on me, saying I'm not a team player, and then that's when I want to leave. And then if you keep doing everything, you just get buried, and that's what happened with Dolph Ziggler. He did everything they wanted him to do, and next he was at the bottom of the pile doing nothing. So it didn't pay off. And then whenever he wants to leave, they threw more money at him and they gave him time off. Like, all right, go do what you want to do. You want to do your finance and all that stuff. I think he was in talks with Fox to have a TV show about financing or something like that. They gave him his time, his space, and look, he's back. So
yeah,
listen, I'm not surprised by any of that stuff that he said. I mean, we've heard it also with CM Punk. I remember CM Punk said a lot of fucked up shit that they wanted him to do, and they didn't care about his health. They didn't care about people's reactions to things. It's cheap heat. That's it.
That's instantly what I thought. I got the same vibe of the CM Punk conversation when I heard this podcast, except for I do like Ambrose a little bit more than CM Punk, because we know CM Punk is a bit of a crazy person. But yeah, I felt the same way. I definitely wasn't surprised by anything I heard, but I'm glad. I'm so glad that he made it very clear in that interview what they want to do with AEW is they want to challenge WWE to change what they do with creative. Because
I mean, and the big difference, I should say, is between that some people calling this his shoot, interview. It really wasn't a shoot because he didn't shit on WWE.
Yeah,
he shit on Vince, but he didn't shit on the company. He liked the company. He liked the people. He even blamed the writers in the back. He said if someone wrote that harsh whatever statement that he didn't read, but he said for the majority of the time they would show up and like, yeah, who wrote this, or who did this. It wasn't us. And he said it. He enjoys working there. He enjoyed everybody there. If it wasn't the dumb shit that Vince had him do, then it wouldn't went down the way it is. But I think really is Vince didn't see him in the role that Jon Moxley saw himself in, which is the anti-hero. WWE has only had one serious anti-hero, and they're going to leave it that way, and that's Steve Austin. Mm-hmm. And that's the way Dean wanted to be seen. We saw that even at the AEW show. He comes out, DDT to you, DDT to you. Oh, the ref's in the way, DDT to you. When you start doing it, you know what I mean? Anybody's in my way, I don't care. I just want to come and fight. Anyone gets in my way, I'm just going to take them out. That's what he was trying to do in WWE. Vince wouldn't allow that. Vince did not want to see him as that anti-hero, even though the fans saw him like that already. He was great on the mic. There was a reason he was the mouthpiece of the Shield when they first launched. Remember that. That's it. He was the mouthpiece, and everybody else held. Seth Rollins almost never spoke. Same thing with Roman. He was just muscle. So it was always going to be him. So when they broke up, I honestly felt, I'm like, well, the other two are going to slump, and it's all going to be about Dean, because especially in WWE, it's all about you're working the mic. Mm-hmm. Who can work the mic? It's him. He's been the mouthpiece. He could sell a fight. And then he was coming out with his dirty shirt and his jeans and stuff. I'm like, this is it. He's the modern version of a Steve Austin. But Vince just never saw him that way. And that was a downfall. Now, I have a feeling that's what we're going to see in AEW. That's what we're going to see in New Japan. That's what we're going to see wherever else. He said he's going to CZW also. He wants to wrestle. He's just like Cody Rhodes. He even said, he's like, I have my checklist of things I want to do, shows I want to work, people I want to work with, and I'm going to do it. And AEW is going to allow me to do it until the TV show starts, which is in October. So until then, we're going to see him on all kinds of shit. So anyway, just to stick on track, I think that was the whole issue here. It's not so much of WWE failing him; it's just Vince. And I could see him going back to WWE at some point, but I could see it only if Vince steps down and Triple H is running the show.
See,
and one other thing, before I forget, because I know I'm going to forget this shit, because I keep forgetting whenever I want to bring this up. No, I'm not going to say it. I'm not going to say it. Forget it. I changed my mind.
Oh no, go ahead. Go ahead.
It's only because when they kept talking about the Attitude Era and this and that with the show and Double or Nothing, and then with Cody with the smashing and all the outlets talking about, oh yeah, sit down with the Attitude Era. He even said, yeah, you have Jim Ross from the Attitude Era working your announce team. Come on now. that was like kind of silly. And then what kind of reaction were you expecting to get when here's your color guy right here, here's your announcer, your play-by-play guy from that era who is still on good terms with these people, and then you pull something like this.
Oh yeah. So
and then that you're supposedly better than that. You want to be the alternative, and I'm all for being alternative. But then when you go and you do something so blatant, you're picking a fight. You're picking a fight. So when they start saying later on, I was like, oh well, they're gonna make jokes, because WWE will make jokes. WWE can bury them with jokes. We've seen it with Ted Turner with the Ted DiBiase gimmick. We've seen it with Gilbert for the Goldberg. They could easily do something like that if they want to goof on it. If let's say they try to push Dean or something like that, they can do it.
But don't forget that it was Vince who fired the first shot.
Yeah.
Don't forget.
What do you mean? What first shot?
The first shot was fired at the Hall of Fame when DX was on stage.
Oh, when he said about buying them and firing them.
The Pissant Company.
But that was more of a shot at Billy Gunn, because it's just another. And the truth, it's just another promotion. They haven't proved themselves. I would say the same shit. Any Joe Schmo could put up a show and say, "Yeah, I'm gonna make it and destroy you." We've seen it time and time again. We saw it with Impact when TNA popped up. Everyone was like, "Yo, this is it." And then they even came out and said, "Yeah, we're going to destroy WWE. We're going to go head to head. We're going to go live." And where are they now? So I could see that. I could see that cockiness, and they have the right to be. But that wasn't a personal attack. That was toward the company. So I think my whole thing is, if you want to go in another direction, don't even acknowledge them. Make believe like they're not even there, and just do your own thing. Because I think AEW has enough to be strong enough to just do their own thing. They already know they don't have to be PG. That's it. Just don't be PG. Throw some color in it, because it belongs in wrestling. Like Cody said, wrestling is a violent sport. It's advertised as violent, so it should be seen as violent. Scripted or not. If your guy is taking a bunch of, chair shots, or he's flying off the top and he gets cut, blood happens. We've seen even that accident recently with Samoa Joe and Rey Mysterio, and there was some blood because Joe's nose broke, and then they just stopped the fight. That's it. Oh, really? This is what it's come down to. So all they have to do is that. Just give us more wrestling. None of the skits. None of the skits. None of those talking blah, blah, blah promos. Just match, and then go home. There's an audience that just wants to see that. And we know that because that was made NXT so successful. When they do these pay-per-view events, takeover, match. All right, good night. None of these, all right, now we're going to cut to this promo in the back. Now we're going to cut to another little event in the ring. Now we're going to cut to another one. No.
Wait, so you mean the whole setup with an hour of no wrestling, aside from Shane doing an arc, basically, for an entire hour? That wasn't good enough for you?
That wasn't good enough for anybody. That's why they started chanting any alternative. It's horrible, and I get it. They want to focus on story. They want to put all this story into it, but no one cares. The stories are whack. We just want to see wrestling. You guys have the talent. Just wrestle. How hard is that? But it's very hard. Vince doesn't even want to call them wrestlers. Remember when he did that? He want to call them superstars. He won't even call them wrestlers. Like it's like he's so disconnected from what the people want.
But Brock, he started busting a move.
You see, now Brock, I think that's hilarious. I think it's hilarious that it's like, you know what? Do whatever you want, act silly, whatever. And it's whether they're writing for him or he's willing to do it, because he looks like he's having a good time doing this shit.
I loved it because it reminded me of the old Brock when he used to have
that's what I'm saying. The old Brock. And I wish he gets more mic time. Hopefully he does get some more mic time, because back in the day, he was funny with some of the shit he said.
With Kurt Angle.
Yeah. And even when he went to the UFC and he started saying some fucked up funny shit, talking about, I can't, I felt great, I'm gonna go home and lay down with my wife and I'm drink a Coors because Bud Light didn't pay me shit, so I'm not drinking it, and then he had to retract that statement afterwards because he said, like, I came from a different world and I used to talk a lot of shit. We don't hear any of that for years. We haven't. It's always been just Paul Lee talking. So I enjoyed that. But it shouldn't have been 2 segments. That was a waste of fucking time. It should have just been one and done, because they're already into their whole pattern. They have to open up with a segment. They can't open up with a fucking match. Got to be a whole long talking point. Has to be somebody coming out, the man come out and do their whole. I'm good. I hate that. I hate it. I'm tired of it. I don't buy into any of that. I don't. When I went to the last Raw that was in town, and it was just talking, and then the commercial break, and then you've been to live TV events. They turn the lights off. The wrestler just stands there.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I'm like, come on now. This is bullshit.
We saw a lot of that when we was in town for the WrestleMania weekend, Raw and SmackDown. It was a very weird experience to see that.
It's like just let them have the match. Just come out and do the match. That's it. We don't need all this talking stuff. We don't need it. The stories suck. The dialogue sucks. We're not engaged in that way. So just bring us the matches. That's it. That's all I agree. See. You got the talent to do it. Why pick up all these guys and not do it? Why have Shinsuke? Why have Finn Balor? Why have all these people?
Hold on. Who is the Shinsuke guy you're talking about? Because I haven't seen him.
He's this Israeli guy they picked up, and they make him look like he's Japanese. It's not working. The gimmick is horrible. So they got to take the makeup off. He dances like Prince and shit. It's weird. No, and I know a lot of people are like, oh, well, these guys should just leave and go to AEW. I don't want that either. We don't want what happened with Impact, where it just gets flooded with WWE, rejects, if you want to say that word, but just people that leave the company and they show up. We don't want that. For what? So they can take another spot for somebody who's been busting their ass there? Well, and that's one thing. I mean, real quick, there's a link with that. That's one issue that people keep overlooking that's really going to be a problem for AEW, that whole win-loss counting. I've seen a lot of promotions try to do that, and it's very tough to do, because there will always be people at the bottom, and they will stay at the bottom because that's how you keep the balance. Are they going to be cool with always being at the bottom? Because they even said there's nobody that's going to be at the bottom going to be able to get a title shot. You can't even start a feud that way. It all goes based off of your ranking, just like it does in the UFC. You can't just call somebody out on Twitter and get a title shot. No, you have to be ranked. You have to be at least in the top 5.
So hold on. So does that mean now, because Kenny Omega lost the match, that he is now at the bottom of the card?
No. Well, that's the thing. I'm sure they're going to show. They have to. If you're going to focus on it, they're going to have to emphasize it. So they're going to have to say right off the bat, when all these people sign up, where's their rank? What's their rank? What's Kenny Omega's rank? Is he ranked number 2? Is he number 4? Where do the Young Bucks stand? Is there a different ranking for tag teams? If they break up and go solo, what's their solo rank? It's going to be stats. It's going to be all stats. So it's going to be interesting to see how that works, because, like I said, there's always going to be people at the bottom. The whole thing with pro wrestling was that anybody can call out anybody, right? We see that. Somebody comes out, someone jumps somebody in the back, I'm going to kick your ass. The champ gets pissed. You know what? Let's do this. That's not going to happen in AEW. They made it clear it's not going to happen because it's all going to be a ranking system. So my point is, there's going to be people at the bottom, and then those people are going to want to leave. There's only so much. If they can't get pushed up, you can't have everybody. You can't make everybody top guy. You can't have everybody bump up. And if we have all these top talent from WWE threatening to leave or want to leave, somebody's got to get bumped. You're not going to go and hire these guys from WWE and pay them whatever money, because obviously they're turning down a lot of money from WWE to bring them over, to just bury them and put them in the bottom to help other guys get over.
Oh yeah.
So it's going to be a tough spot, a very tough spot.
See, I do believe that there are going to be some other people that will be leaving WWE and may go to AEW. I know the Revival. That is a perfect example of somebody, a team that needs to leave WWE and go to get more competition somewhere else. But I do believe that people can't overlook this Jon Moxley podcast, because I believe that a lot of stuff that he was said, there's a lot of people that do feel the frustration of creative, and I'm just curious now to see what is the fallout, what will happen as a result of this over time, because I do believe there are going to be others that as soon as they have an opportunity to get out that contract, do not be surprised if they don't end up in AEW. They could end up in the Indies, but they definitely will not stay in WWE.
But Rich, we're old enough. We've seen this. We've been down this road. We've seen this with WCW. We've seen this with the TNA. We've seen this with even Ring of Honor for a while, when they were hot for a while. We saw that. We saw also with Japan, when Japan was getting pretty big and they were taking a lot of talent. It's just going to keep happening. Now it all comes down to who winds up going, but we already know how WWE is going to handle it. The ones that re-sign are going to be guaranteed certain pushes, and the ones that don't are going to be buried. They're going to be like, all right, we're going to just ruin you. So if you want to leave, let's say, what was it, the Revival, they said they turned down a new contract, right?
Yeah.
But from what I understand, isn't it like they still have like a year on
next year, I think, 2021, I think.
2021. So the WWE can say, you know what? We're going to make your life hell. We are going to make your life, you're going to be buried so bad that there's not even going to be a point for you to go, because the other promotions are going to be like, for what? For what? We're seeing it happen now. They're going to put them in all kinds of dumb shit. I'm waiting for them to put them in dresses. They're going to say, all right, so which one of you is going to be dressing in drag this week?
Well, hey, our truth has already filled that.
Yeah, we've seen Vito do it. We've seen other guys that they try to shame for certain reasons, and they'll do it. They'll do it. They'll get bitter, and they don't care if you don't come back. They're doing it to make a point, to prove a point, to make a statement. And we could see that. We could definitely see that they've done it in the past. And even Jon Moxley was talking about it, where he said, I thought for a while they wanted to kill me when they were setting up all these spots, when they put his head in the guardrail and had Drew kick him and stuff. And I remember seeing that. I'm like, fuck, man. He's getting his ass beat in these matches. Like, what happened to just pitting him? And he said he was very surprised. He thought, just like everybody else, he was going to sit home and they were going to wish him all the best in his future endeavors on the website and call it a day. But he didn't get that treatment because it's not about him. It's about the Shield. And they had plans, and that's a lot of money. The Shield makes a lot of money in merch. Kids love that stuff. You see, every time they would bring the Shield out, they make sure they have camera number 4 panning the audience, showing kids with the T-shirts and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
If he was not part of the Shield, I believe he would have had the same response. Sit home. You're done. We wish you all the best. You're out. But because of that connection with Roman and Seth and that group, they were like, all right, we got to milk this for everything we can. Let's just milk it now. And that's why they did it. And then just like to get other people over, the EC3 situation, and we knew it. We saw it. He saw it. Everybody saw it. We knew. We've been down this road. We've been watching wrestling for over 30 years.
Mhm.
We know how this works. You're going to be on your way out. You lay down for the guys. You get people over, and that's it. You know, but it doesn't. It's supposed to get them over, but we already know how this whole thing works, so no one gives a shit. You know, I saw it not so long ago in Ring of Honor when the Punishment, Truth Martinez, it's a Punisher. No, it's the Punishment. Yeah, Punishment, Truth Martinez, not Punisher. You know, the big dude. When he agreed that he was at most of the guys in Ring of Honor don't have contracts. That's the other thing. It's like a pay as you go type of thing. And he was one of the champs that they had there, the TV title or whatnot. It's just recently. This is like within like 6-7 months. And when he signed with WWE, he had the belt. So they're like, all right, you're leaving. So they brought in Jeff Cobb, which is the Monster Matanza from Lucha Underground. So he comes in as just himself, Jeff Cobb. He's a great wrestler. First debut match, and he's going against Martinez for the belt. It's a squash match. Martinez doesn't get one hit in. He kicks his ass. It was like under a minute and pins him 1, 2, 3, and he wins the title. Was anybody in the crowd shocked? Nope. You could hear the crowd reaction. No one was shocked because they knew the internet has spoiled everything. So everybody knows, oh, this was going to be a squash match, and that's what it was. So that way that you could change the title's hands because obviously a guy can't leave with the title. You know, so that's what I'm saying. Like once the word spread on the internet that he didn't sign, he's leaving, of course he's going to lose all his other matches. So I don't understand why Vince is all pissed that people weren't booing and doing all this other shit and they're still cheering for him because they know. You know,
right.
Everyone's smart. The days of just being a smart mark are over. Before you needed to read the Observer and you need to do all this shit and dig for it. Now you fucking get messages on your phone. You get tweets. You get all this info. You don't really have to search for it. So everybody knows.
No, you're right.
You know, it's a different time. So you're getting different reactions. And people are aware. You know, like Bad Hardy used to say, woken. Everyone's fucking woken now. You know, everything's woken. We're all woken. Before, everybody had that one buddy who was always talking shit and stuff, and you're like, well, I guess he's right. I don't know. How do I look it up? I don't know if he's right or not. Shit, now take out your phone and Google it. GTS that, you know, or go use a different search engine. Don't even use Google. Go. You know, sometimes they filter shit. Go anywhere. But the point is the information is available. The response is available. Everything is different. Yeah, so the reaction is going to be different. It's a more woke reaction. So
absolutely. So did you have anything you wanted to say, Dana? I think you was trying to say something.
No, I think Adam said everything, and no, it's true. And did you guys see that Vince Russo thinks it's all a conspiracy and everyone's in the same bed together?
I wouldn't know. That's straight up bullshit. There's no way. There's no way. And he's like, oh, well, they would never do that. And it's all because of that little remark. Also, what you said with Triple H mentioning that. And then, of course, with Sami Zayn. And that Sami Zayn, that definitely was scripted. Even his facial expression afterward. Even the facial expression afterward. And they had to acknowledge it. And I think that, if anything, that was something that Triple H probably said, let's do it. Because you can't, it's one of those things, just point at it. Don't act like it doesn't exist, because that was the whole thing with D-Generation X. They pointed out, WCW was there. They pointed out, so let's go and invade. Fuck it. And you know what? This is best for business. And at the time, if you remember, right before that happened, the match before, people were chanting AEW. There was still no match. People were chanting it. So, I mean, it was there. So I'm sure when he came out, they said, go ahead, say this, you know? And then we'll get a reaction out of it. And sure enough, they did. The crowd was stunned. They couldn't believe it. So it worked out. It worked out.
But here's the thing. It didn't exactly work out the way that I thought that it was planned. I thought that when they was going to say AEW, the crowd would go boo. And as you clearly
heard. You thought we were going to boo? Really?
I think that was WWE's mindset. And it's all cheered.
Yeah, no, I don't. What was it that they were also chanting? They were like, what was it? There was something else. It wasn't just the AEW. It was something about we want wrestling or something like that, or something. Please stop. Or it was some weird shit though. I remember, and I saw it online, people, because I was trying to hear it. It was a different type of chant. But they were just frustrated. People just frustrated with everything. Yeah, and it doesn't mean, and that's the thing, it doesn't mean that they hate WWE. These people, that's the other thing. It's different from when WCW. I remember when WCW, when they would announce something, people booed. People legit booed because it was former guys that they supported, like Diesel and Razor Ramon and all Bret Hart, and they left them. They left them to go somewhere else. So fans saw that smack in the face. This is different. These are people that are starting something completely different for good reason. And this is that same audience, older now. These young kids, the teenagers now older, wiser, and see what's going on, and now can read what's going on and see all these interviews that these guys are doing, just like we just saw with Jon Moxley, explaining, hey, this is why I left. It's not because I hate you. It's not because of money. It's because of this guy being a prick and a douche and telling me to say horrible things and just not doing anything with me creatively, just like he's not with a lot of people. And people relate to that. People have bosses that do the same shit to them.
Oh, yeah.
They also chanted, "This is awful," and they had the MJ.
There you go. That was it. This is awful. That was it. This is awful.
And they had the MJF signs.
Yeah. But that was it. This is awful. That's the one. And that one, if that starts picking up, then that could be a problem.
This is boring. This is awful.
That was it. This is boring. That was the other one. Yeah, there was a bunch of them. And they were just like spitting them out, and everybody was jumping in on it. And who could blame them? It's too much. It was constant talk.
Terrible.
But I think that's the other issue that they have. It's 3 hours that they have to fill up. And for some reason, Vince is all against wrestling matches. So he just keeps putting on these talking segments. People don't pay money to watch talking. They want to see action. They go to a live event to see action in a live event. I forgot who it was that talked. I think maybe it was Jim Ross, or maybe it was Bruce. One of those two said that they were always against backstage segments. They were always against it because it said it's absolutely boring for the fans to see that. So they try to put everything in front, but it's even more boring when you bring these backstage segments to the front. And if it's not an action, backstage segment, if it's just another interview on a talking, and the stupid talk is, what was it? The Corey Graves, the electric chair, and then the Bliss and all these Miz TV. I don't care about any of these talking segments.
I didn't understand the concept behind the electric chair.
That's why I feel the whole thing with AEW being mentioned was all a work, because electric chair you think is like hot seat, right? Tough questions. That's what I thought he was implying. You're going to be in the electric chair. We're going to throw you some shocking questions, and he wasn't getting any of those shocking questions, which is why he said, hey, I thought someone was going to ask me about AEW. So everything just fits that this was scripted.
Even the questions were scripted, though.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. It's all bullshit. It's all bullshit. But that's what I'm saying. Why have that? Why have these talking segments? Who cares? What are you doing? I remember when I went to that Raw event and Sami Zayn came out, and I timed it. It was like over 10 minutes of him just poo-pooing on the crowd and WWE and talking about how he loved being out injured because he traveled the world and showing pictures. I don't give a shit. It was the same thing that they did with Dolph Ziggler a few years back. Remember when he would come out and poo-poo about the Federation, poo-poo about the legends, and come out as Macho Man and do that. He had same type of thing, maybe 10, 15 minutes segments. Talk. Who cares?
They had Kevin Owens do that. Remember the video?
Yeah, Kevin. Yeah, same thing. Kevin Owens. Why? Use social media for this. Film these things and post them on your website. Do that. They used to do that back in the day when they were trying to get traffic to their network. Remember? Well, not to the network, but just to WWE. They also had that. What was it called? Access or something? Remember? It was like $20 a month, where you would see like behind the scenes videos and interviews and things like that. But like what happens when they would end a match and if they had gripes or stuff. It was weird. But I'm just saying, all these little talking points and segments, put that in on the network or put that somewhere else. Don't put that in a live show. We want to see wrestling. We don't want to see any of this stuff. I love the fact. Yeah, I love the fact, at least with the AEW, that they brought back one of the best things that I used to love about ECW. When this happened, I thought I was going to start crying. Was when the lights turned out. And when they turn back on and you see somebody standing in a ring and then they turn off again and turn back on and you see more people in the ring. I love that. I used to love that when that happened in ECW, when they turn off the lights turn back on. Is he Sabu pointing up right in the center, or or Raven with his arms spread out? I used to love that. And to see that that's being brought back, that was awesome. I love
And
it.
the chairs.
What was that?
Remember with the chairs when every time
Oh yeah.
chairs.
With the chairs and all of it, it's and again, Tony Khan, big wrestling fan. That's the guy who's funding the whole AEW project. Huge wrestling fan, especially with ECW, and I'm all for it. Now, my only concern, besides the whole thing with the ranking system, is their TV deal, TNT. Because TNT, and this is the thing that ECW had issues with, and Paulie, if anyone ever watched the rise and fall of ECW, and he's talked about it. It was like, oh, well, how did it fall apart? It wasn't about losing talent, because he still had a lot of talent that were willing to take less money, because they felt like they could grow. The problem is that they were so violent that they couldn't get sponsors. They couldn't get ad sponsors. So Spike TV, the TNN network, they couldn't get any sponsors to advertise it because it was too violent. And that's my only fear with AEW, that if they do what they want to do, is have some color and have some of these rough matches. Not all the time, but sometimes. Is this going to be an issue with advertisers?
I think they just might for the pay-per-view, because also people seem to forget that ECW, even though there was the violence and the gore, it was also very beautiful technical wrestling.
Oh yeah. No, it definitely was. Dean Malenko, Eddie Guerrero, Benoit, all of them. They had some really good matches there. But then again, that's also a grooming process that they're going to have to explain to the viewers, because some people, let's say if they just watched the pay-per-view, Double or Nothing, and I'm sure there's going to be a few more, right? We have another one in Chicago coming, and it's all going to have some color. It's going to be some violence. Cody said that he's not even ruling out a death match. If they do death matches, he says, because it's a case by case type of thing. If the participants want to have a certain type of match, we're not going to hold them back. If this is what they want to do, then they're going to do it, and we're going to let them do it. And that sounds great for us, and that'll be great on a pay-per-view events. But if, let's say, you watch one of these events and then you start tuning in and you're not seeing those type of things, or let's say they're not allowed to show color and we're not seeing any of that, people are going to be like, so I only get to see the really good matches on the pay-per-views. You're just showing me whatever you want. These laid back, these soft core matches. I don't know about that. Believe me, they're going to bitch, because they did that for ECW. Like you said, when ECW decided to make that change and go more technical and do the blood and all that stuff in the pay-per-views, it still caused an issue. People still bitched, and the viewership just wasn't there. You can't make everybody happy. That's the thing. But you do have to make the network happy and advertisers happy, because that's where the money comes in. Even though Tony Khan's putting all this money in, he's still trying to make money. He's not trying to bleed money out like Ted Turner. So we'll see. And then just to link with that whole TNT thing, was it the day after, on Sunday, WWE sends out this email from their network where you can see the failed, it was called the failed reboot of WCW. It was like 20 minutes, and you had Eric Bischoff and Booker T all calling in. You could hear they were calling in over the phone with some still shots and some footage over it. Basically, I'm like, well, why am I watching this? What was the point? Oh, I'll tell you what the point, because right toward the end, they get to it when Eric Bischoff says TNT screwed them. TNT didn't back wrestling. TNT did not care about wrestling and didn't see it as marketable, and they didn't want the promotion anymore, and that's why they decided just to sell it off. And then I realized, oh, that's why WWE put this on right after, because they now know it's been confirmed that AEW is going to be on TNT, and they want everybody to know, oh, they're going to be on a network that doesn't care about wrestling.
But here's the issue that I have with that. The whole debacle with WCW was over, 20 years ago almost?
Mm-hmm.
That a lot of people have come and gone since then. And while you can say, oh, it's a network thing, it was the people at the network. They've gone.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, well, yeah. No, but they're not going to point that out. Remember, they have their own, WWE has their own agenda. They're just going to throw the big picture. Hey, that network doesn't like wrestling. That's all. That's all they have to say. They don't have to go behind the scenes and point out Joe Schmo and this and that. This guy left and this guy was a prick and this one didn't want to. No, it's just a network. They plant that seed. So whoever watches the network and then whoever decides to see them, like, oh, okay. So they joined a network that doesn't really care. Why did they do that? I still think they should have joined up with ESPN. I just feel like it would have been better to be on a sport network. I don't know why. I just think it would have worked out a little better. But
I don't think that they could have because of their working relationship with WWE.
yeah, but they said that they were in the running. They were trying to sign them. So I mean, if they were looking to pick up AEW, then I guess they're not too buddy. Especially since WWE is now partnered up with Fox. I'm sure all those. The bump. Here I'm bouncing balls. I'm sure all those exclusive. Remember when they would have Brock come out on ESPN to make an announcement and stuff? I'm sure all those days are over. Now that's all going straight to Fox. So I'm sure that's another reason why ESPN was in the running to try to pick up wrestling and get AEW. And plus, they have the ESPN Plus, so maybe they could have had some pay-per-views or special events put on that as well. But because what was it? They said they're going to do some special events also, but they're not linked with TNT. It's like for the streaming service, it's going to be on something else. Their pay-per-views are going to be somewhere else. I don't know. We'll see. Yeah, but it's going to be interesting to see how the whole thing plans out. And I hope it does come out that it's a legit feud between them. And I think it could pan out to that way, depending on how. And I think this is why the joke comes in, because if anything, that video that WWE sent out was a shot fired not toward just AEW but TNT. It's like, all right, you have this promotion, you got back into the wrestling business, prove us wrong, prove us that you're going to promote it. I want to see these billboards everywhere. I want to see these advertisements everywhere. Is TNT really going to do that? No. Are they going to go and do it? We don't know yet. Let's see. If they don't do it, then they don't give a shit. They just want another program on their show to fit that demographic of the 18 to 35. That's it. They don't really care. They don't care about wrestling overall. That was the whole thing with WWE's thing with USA, because it was like USA will constantly promote this stuff. It'll, spit out whatever show they want that's wrestling related. We got the Miz and the Misses. Now you got Steve Austin's going to have a wrestling show on there. They're helping. They're doing whatever they can to help promote it. And then from what we've heard, the whole reason why we have that 24/7 title is because that was a suggestion by USA Network.
Yeah.
So they're listening to the execs over there too. So it's working back and forth.
It's executed so poorly. It's not that same reaction that it originally had.
Because it's not the same type of feel. It's not the same belt. It doesn't have the same vibe. And that's the thing. You can't call it hardcore. And I still get pissed when they do Extreme Rules and stuff and all that. There's no blood. It's not that extreme. I'm sorry. It's just needed. It's one of those things. It's like you can't have a war movie and not show anyone die. And say, well, we didn't want to show that. Well, it's a war movie. And that's the same thing. This is a combat sport. You're having things called Extreme Rules. You're locking them in a cage, in a cell. You're using chairs and tables and all that. Don't tell me someone is not going to get cut. And if they get cut and start bleeding, don't stop the fight. Don't do that.
Yeah.
But they're catering to the younger audience. And they want to make that money. But they have to understand it's still the parents that are paying for cable so they can see it. It's still the parents that are bringing these kids to the event. If they're not entertained, they will not bring their kids to these things. They will not watch it. They're like, what? We're not watching this. We're going to watch something else. Oh, the wrestling's in town. Yeah, and it's garbage. We're going to go do something else. That's it. So they have plenty of shows, and they have the network, and they have also to give a little bit of everything. Raw should live up to the damn name. It should be Raw. That was the whole reason why it's called Raw. That was the whole reason why it was colored red. This is it. It was supposed to be violent. It was supposed to be that crazy show. And it was for a while. And then they scrapped it. The blue SmackDown, and that was the one that was on the network TV, was supposed to be the clean cut version. That was it. So if you wanted the craziness, you wanted all the crazy antics and the middle fingers and all that stuff, you went and watched Raw. You wanted to see some happy-go-lucky and some other stuff going on, and none of that stuff, you watched SmackDown. Instead, they decided to make everything damn PG. So nothing feels different.
That's true.
And they have the talent, they have the TV time, they have the network, they have everything. And instead we have vanilla across the board. Where's the Rocky Road? Come on. Switch it up. You have all the tools. You have everything you could possibly want. I feel like because Vince, this is his playground, but I feel like if we were to refer to it, it's like let's say if you played remember if you were a baseball card collector or football card or any of those sport card collectors, you get your favorite team and you get all the players on the team, or you get all the MVP cards. I got all the cards. Then what? What do you do? Well, I got all the cards. Now you just stack them and you keep them there. And I feel like that's what he did. He got all the big stars he wanted. There's like hit or miss. Some guys he didn't get, but everybody else he got. Both shows are like the who's, and the same thing in the UK, the NXT UK. But still, nothing's coming from it. And we got guys in NXT, great talent, and we're hoping that they stay there. Because if they get called up, we know they're going to get buried. Velveteen Dream, someone that they developed, great gimmick. I have a feeling if he ever get called up, he's going to get buried. I hope he doesn't get called up. Adam Cole, same thing. I hope he doesn't get called up.
You brought this up. I just want to ask this quick question because you mentioned NXT. Do you think that there are some in NXT that don't want to get called up? And if so, who are the ones you think don't want to get called up?
I think all the smaller guys don't want to get called up. Johnny Gargano, I'm sure he definitely doesn't want to get called up. Think about it. He's a champ right now. You think he's going to get the champ belt if he goes up there?
Well, he may not be the champion after tomorrow night.
There you go. They're gonna what? They'll put him in 205. That's what they'll do. They're not gonna put him up top. It's not gonna happen. He knows it's as good as it gets right now for him.
I don't think they do, guys. The tag team division definitely do not get called up.
Yeah. It's like that's the thing. They haven't even really gone back to that. When Triple H came out and he talked about seeing all of it as a brand, and that they're all equals. So in my head, and when you say equals, it means equals, that everybody is the same. But they're still not treating NXT like that. NXT, if it's equal, then we shouldn't have to worry about people getting called up. And they have sent some people down. Tyler Breeze, he went back.
Oh yeah,
so he's there, and people were chanting his name, and they were showing that they were welcome. No one was poo-pooing. You came back, you're a loser. No, everybody's like, welcome back, welcome home, the whole thing. See it as a plus, because it's not just that developmental area. It's not just in Florida. They travel. They tour. They do great pay-per-views. They sell out. Those pay-per-views most of the time overshadow the main pay-per-view from WWE.
Yeah.
So I'm sure the guys see it, and it's an easier schedule. The only difference that I could think of is maybe that behind the scenes they tell them, hey, we're going to send you to NXT, but now this changes things with your contract because you're not wrestling some odd number of days a year. You're not traveling on this show, that show. So then maybe they take a pay cut. You're not, because they're not doing all the big shows. I don't know if that's one of the things that they come up, or can they just send it? You know what I mean? Yeah. Like if you guaranteed that you're going to be working 250 days or whatever, or even 300. But if you go to NXT, you're obviously not doing all those house shows because they don't have those many house shows, and they don't do all the big pay-per-views like that. Not every big pay-per-view. So do they cut your pay?
That's a good question.
So I don't know.
I don't know. Maybe they just pay you $500.
Yeah. Well, I think when he said that, for those who don't know, Jon Moxley said he got paid $500 for that house show, And I figured that was a smack in the face, but that's also like, oh, get used to these small checks when you go back into the indies. This is it. When you go to do a house show in the indies, because this is what you're going to get. You're going to get a $500 check. Obviously, that's not true. He's going to get a lot more at first. We see a lot of this. A lot of the guys, they always talk about it, that once they leave, they're still hot. Everybody wants them. They're fresh in everyone's mind. But then after a while, after a year or two, fades out. The interest is gone. And then those where the small checks are coming. But for Dean, obviously, it's not going to be the case. He signed a multi-year deal. And I think he could keep himself fresh. But, I think that's what that was all about.
Yeah, I will say this one final point about that podcast. There's one thing that I do want to say. I definitely want to give him credit for going about everything else smart. Because I know he mentioned that, yes, his house is paid for.
Mm-hmm.
His mom's house is paid for. I mean, so literally, he doesn't owe any. There's no major financial obligations that would hold him back. So now that he is free, he's able to pursue all this other stuff, and of course, he has his wife. I mean, so yeah, I feel like he's in a perfect situation now, just focusing creatively on what he loves to do and not having to worry about, I got to pay these bills. Now, obviously, he'll still make money off of some of these bookings, but yeah, it's not the main focus. So it's going to be really, I think, great to see him in this role now.
Yeah, and I don't think any people are like, oh, there's going to be blowback with Renee. There's not going to be any blowback. I mean, we've all known a couple that worked at the same company and one person leaves. They don't go and fire the other one. It's like you're still an individual. She has a different job. Hell, she has a very important job. If anything, her job is more important than what Dean was doing. She's the first female full-time broadcaster for Raw. Yes. She's in the history books just for that alone. This is a big deal for her. If she was to leave to AEW, they already have a 3-man team. They're not going to put her in that spot. They're going to put her in the back with a mic until they start interviewing again. She doesn't want to do that.
Yeah,
but she's in a good spot. So career-wise, this is the best place for her. She's not talent. She's not out there, wrestling, and they're gonna say, we're gonna bury you. We're gonna put you in this and this. And that. No. Now if they take her off the 3-man, group and they have her doing something in the back, then that's different. But I don't see that happening. They respect her. This has nothing to do with her. Her husband wants to work at a different company. That's part of life. That happens. People move on. WWE shouldn't be the one all and be all. For a long time, people go. It's funny because WWE will always advertise, oh, they made their name in Japan. They love saying that. If anything, that's a big smack in the face of New Japan. They don't see them as a threat at all. Meanwhile, New Japan has a network. New Japan does shows here in the States. New Japan does amazing pay-per-view events. New Japan went and just did a show at Madison Square Garden. But it's Vince still not seeing him as a threat. He's still not seeing him as a threat. He said, for what? That's across the world. No one sees this stuff. Oh, have you ever been on YouTube? What's YouTube? It's like, come on now. Are you kidding?
What's YouTube?
And I'm sure he doesn't know any of that stuff. That's why I was so surprised when Jon Moxley said that. It was like, what was it, 4 a.m? He got a text from Vince saying, hey, I know your contract is up and all, but would you be willing? And this is after he got that $500 check, okay?
Oh yeah.
To go and do the UK tour. Are you kidding me? The balls on Vince. That's why he walks funny, because he has some fucking big ass balls. And he would squish them. And it proves it. How do you go give a guy a $500 check and then he's out the door, he's no longer in contract, and then at 4 a.m, send him a message, hey, you want to go do this UK tour?
Oh no, go ahead, Dan. I was going to say
something. It's really funny that even after the whole CM Punk debacle, he pulls the same thing.
Yeah.
What I found very funny about that whole interview is how he says that the constant times he goes to Vince and says that this is not me, and then he comes back to him later when he is ready to leave. He says, "Oh, you was mad about those things. You was mad about how they portrayed you with this particular thing." I find that funny. So that's It just tells me that Vince is absolutely delusional and brain dead.
Wow.
So I don't know.
Yeah, he doesn't take it serious. He doesn't take it serious because, like I said, he sees everything. Vince, he sees everything. It's a show. And he's like, why should you take any of this to heart? This is just acting. This is all make believe.
Yeah.
You know, the whole remember the was it the Katie Vick situation in Triple H getting the coffin, all this stuff. Oh, come on now. You know he was behind that.
Oh yeah.
And that happened. The whole kiss my ass, pulling on pants and having somebody kiss it. Come on now.
Mm-hmm.
This is him. This is him
Right.
doing all that. When remember that time he used the N-word. And Vince in the back.
Oh yeah. And then they had Booker T react to that situation.
Yeah, he's like, hey, what up, my nigga? I'm like, what the hell? You know what I mean? It's like this is him. This is it's that whole thing of like it's a different time, different. He's still stuck, like many of these other people. It happens for everybody. It'll happen to us when we get older. You know, we all get stuck in our certain ways, and some things we'll notice, some things we won't. You know, I'm like that with music. You know, a lot of the hip hop I hear today, I think is garbage. Compared to what I grew up on, but that's just my thing. That's what I listen to, and but I'm cool with it. I acknowledge it. And I think that's the thing with him in wrestling, the way he would get things over, the stories and his mentality of bigger, stronger. That's what people want to see, you know, as opposed to just in-ring talent. He hasn't accepted that things have changed, that Finn Balor, someone that of his size, could be a champ and people would pay to see him. He doesn't have to look like Brock, because in his mind, only guys that look like Brock should be in the top. Triple H. You know?
Yeah. Exactly.
There you go. That's it. That's what makes sense to him. That's the business for him. Because people want to be wowed. So, got to give him the wow. Show him these big, strong guys. Anybody else, they could just be Joe Schmo. They just look like regular guys. You know? That was the thing I noticed with Dean. When Dean went solo and he had his little dirty outfit on, the whole thing, like, you look like a crazy guy that I saw at the Quickie Mart, you know, who trying to like buy some beer. Yeah, he doesn't look like the type of badass that you would think. Like Steve Austin had that tough guy build. I mean, he was packed. You know, he had a 6-pack and everything. He was, you know, with the attitude. And maybe that's why Vince didn't want to put Dean in that category. Even though Dean had the attitude and had everything else, he just couldn't see him like that because he didn't have the physique. Then he came back and he had it. Remember, right? When he came back after injury, he was jacked.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, but still, Vince doesn't care and wanted to do that whole gas mask thing and say people stink and do all that, you know, the cheesy gimmicks. It's like, why can't I just come in and be a badass and be the anti-hero? Nope. We did that. We already have a guy like that. Yeah, but he can't wrestle anymore. Too bad. That's it. So we'll see. With the whole thing, we'll see. I'm sure the story's not over for a while. We're going to see. I'm sure at the next pay-per-view, we're probably going to see some surprises. There'll probably be some more people. I'm talking about the AEW event. We'll probably see people that show up. And as time goes on, we'll probably see people from AEW go to WWE. We'll see the flip-flop.
Uh-oh. Wow.
It'll always happen because people aren't always happy. You can't make everybody happy, especially in a win-loss situation. Like I said, there's always going to be people at the bottom. And I'm like, I'm tired of being at the bottom. And then, you know, like, well, don't worry. WWE, we have NXT, we got 205, we got UK. What, you're from UK? You want to go home and wrestle at home? We got you. Go home. Go on our brand over there. All right. I heard that's the whole issue with Pac. Because, you know, Pac hasn't really signed with AEW. He's working shows with them, but he hasn't signed. And he's over in his that UK promotion. He's doing stuff there. And I think that's what it really comes down to. If he signs a full-time deal, he's got to move. And I think he just wants to go home and live, you know, a normal life.
Yeah.
You know, that guy Wolf, the guy from Sanity, that's what happened with him. They sent him to the NXT UK. Everybody thought he just quit or got fired or something. No, he just went to NXT UK. He's over there. You know, and it works out. So
we'll see.
We'll see, and it's gonna happen. You know, I mean, the worst case scenario, AEW falls apart, and Vince does something stupid or tries to buy them or something, and that would be even worse. I don't think Tony Khan would ever sell to him. If anything, they would just disband it. That's, ugh. But then again, I mean, that was the whole thing with Dixie. Dixie never wanted to sell TNA because they remember when they offered to buy it, but then they wanted to buy it and then shut it down because they just wanted the tape library for that. But she said she would never sell to them. So when she wound up selling it to the Owl Company, Fight Network, and whatever they did, and they wound up keeping it, and it's still around. But if they sold it, then whatever. But Dixie said she didn't want to be that owner. She wouldn't be able to live with herself if she was that person. Yet she goes on and does her special about AJ and stuff. That was funny. Oh man. Yeah, and Kurt Angle. I'm like, I couldn't believe that. I'm like, you talked all this smack about not wanting to sell the work we're doing, and then you agree to go on one of their network specials. Ugh.
Absolutely.
Maybe everything's a work. Maybe all this is a work. Maybe Tony Khan is in bed with Vince and they're all playing his side. Even Cody. Maybe this is it. Maybe one day they're all going to come out and just shake hands and go, April Fools. Who knows?
No way. We'll see. All right. So, any final thoughts before we move on to the predictions for NXT TakeOver 25?
Oh shit! I forgot it's even. See, there you go. I thought this was it. I thought this was never like NXT 25. All right, now let's get this. Let's get
this is going to be a very, very fast. It's only 5 matches. It's not like a WrestleMania where it's damn near 18 to 20 matches. So we'll get through this pretty quick. So let's start with the first match. In no particular order, we have Matt Riddle taking on Roderick Strong. Well, I know they have big plans for Matt Riddle. I heard there was a report circulating around, whether it's true or not, that Matt Riddle is going to face the winner of the match between Johnny Gargano and Adam Cole at the next pay-per-view, the next TakeOver, I believe, for SummerSlam. We'll see whether or not that's accurate. But yeah, I say Matt Riddle wins this match. How about you, Dana? Who's your pick for this match?
I'm gonna have to go with Matt Riddle as well.
See? Yeah. How about you, Adam?
It just makes sense. You know, they want to give him the push.
Yeah, I mean,
everything makes sense. He's got the look. You know, sing that song. He's got the look. He's got the look. This is it. Roderick Strong does not have the look. He's got the ability, but he does not have the look.
Ouch.
You know, and ouch is right. But hey, that's the way it is. You know, Riddle looks like $1 million, and he's over with the crowd. And what more can you want for any promotion? That's what you want. You know, you want somebody that has that look, and people accept it, and people like his laid back attitude and the bro. I don't get it, but people like it. So, yeah, I could see him. He's going to probably win, move up. Because if he doesn't, it doesn't do anything. And it really doesn't do anything for Roderick Strong from winning. Because we know he's not going to go that far up. So.
I agree. Okay. So, next up, we're going to have a NXT Tag Team Championship match. This is actually a ladder match for the vacant NXT Tag Team titles. We have Oney Lorcan and Danny Burch versus the Street Profits versus the Undisputed Era versus the Forgotten Sons.
Oh, wait. I got to put a little mark. I just realized something because I was just trying to remember some. If people want to see that Roderick Strong, Matt Riddle match, you can see it now on YouTube. They used to have Major Brawls in PWG. So you can see how that match is going to plan out.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that already happened.
Oh, see?
Okay. Let's go next.
So do you want to go first in terms of who you think is going to win this NXT tag title match?
Wait, who's in the match?
So
it was
So it's only Lorcan and Danny Burch versus the Street Profits versus the Undisputed Era versus the Forgotten Sons.
Oh, that's right. They added all these other. Oh man, that's right. Because I didn't say it when we're saying it out. For some reason, the last NXT wasn't showing up for me, so I didn't get to see it. I don't know why. What's popping up on the network? But anyway, there's a lot of teams in this. I would say either the Forgotten Sons or Street Profits. They're trying to get those two new teams over. And remember, it's all about putting the belt on a new team. That's when you put a belt on anyone, you put eyes on them. That's the whole point of the belt. It's not so much that you're the best; it's just to put eyes on you. And those are the ones that they're trying to promote up there. So I could see that happening for one of those two.
Okay.
We don't need Undisputed to get the title again.
Yeah. Let's have Undisputed win again, and then have Adam Cole also win. They all have belts.
Yeah, they've already done it. And then they teased a few NXT episodes ago. They teased that they were like breaking up. They were having issues. Roderick Strong was having issues with Adam, and then the other guys were having issues with Adam. And so it seemed like they were going to break it up. And if they do get called up, they will get broken up because Vince doesn't like groups. He does not like groups. And that sucks because groups are very successful, especially in other promotions. We see it in New Japan, Bullet Club, and all that. It worked. People like groups.
Oh yeah.
But for some reason, Vince does not like groups.
You're right. So Dana, who was your pick for this match?
Undisputed Era.
See? Yeah.
Overall, it's kind of hard to predict, and I wouldn't mind either one winning. And I think that's, one of the matches to really watch, just because it might be just completely crazy. But I kind of see Undisputed winning. I don't know. They won their last match that they had on NXT. So, no. They actually didn't win. They lost their last match. And it would look kind of weak if they lost the second match. So I see them probably winning.
Okay. But if they lose, don't you think that they could just be moving up? Because I have a feeling this is the last for all of them.
Yeah.
I think Adam Cole is moving over to Raw or SmackDown. I could see the tag team moving up to one of those other.
We mustn't think so negatively. I don't want them there.
No, we don't want them there, but they need another team to beat on the Revival and the Good Brothers. So that's what they're going to do. They're going to bring up another tag team.
Oh, goodness. It's going to be terrible. Yeah, let them lose. Let them lose.
Yes. Okay, so my pick for this match is I do believe it's going to maybe be the Forgotten Sons, because I don't think they have really accomplished anything thus far, and they do have the other third member that can get involved in this match. If needed to make things more interesting.
Why couldn't they just throw Luke Harper in that group? He would fit right in. For a while, I thought he was one of them.
Well, he is one of them in theory, because they don't use this. They don't use them. Very
they all have the beards and the hair.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Well, he could have been a part of this, but yeah. I mean, I think that they have this whole thing about, they talk about they are the Forgotten Sons, and they don't really, at some point they're going to get their recognition. It won't happen on the main roster. I doubt that would happen. So if you're going to have them win the belts, and it has to happen in NXT, I'd say maybe that's the team that wins. I also would have said Undisputed Era. The only reason why I don't say them is because I do believe it is time for them to be moved up. I know that there was obviously AOP is, I heard that one of the other guys that was injured has finally been cleared, and they are supposedly supposed to be getting moved to SmackDown. So I know Raw has a lot of tag teams right now. They need more teams on SmackDown, so that could happen in the future. But I think with Undisputed Era, but I will say this: if Undisputed Era wins, then I definitely think Adam Cole is going to win the main event. But we'll see. For now, I say Forgotten Sons, and then you can have the Street Profits chase this team to try and get the titles, later this year. And as for Oni Lorcan, he's actually on 205 Live now. I guess they have him in this cruiserweight, trying to eventually earn a shot at that. So I don't think that team is going to definitely win this match.
They did that with Roderick Strong too. Remember, he was in that tournament for the 205 title.
Oh yeah.
I think they just send guys over there to, hey, you want to work an extra night, get some more TV time? All right.
Get some more money too.
Hopefully. Maybe. It depends.
We'll see. Okay. 3 more matches to cover. So this match, we have the NXT North American Championship match. Velveteen Dream versus Tyler Breeze. I say Velveteen Dream wins. Tyler Breeze, I know people were happy to see him return, but they haven't done anything with him on the main roster. I think he's definitely going to put on a great match with Velveteen Dream, but Velveteen Dream, obviously, I do believe that the guy, what's his name, Donovan Dijak, that is the guy they were building to take that title off of Velveteen Dream, and then he got injured. So I think.
What? Dijak's got injured?
Oh yeah, he did get injured. It was some I don't know how serious the injury was, but because I haven't heard anything since. But that happened a couple weeks ago. That he did get injured in one of those tapings. So,
man.
But they've been building that guy to be the one to face Velveteen Dream, and I think that if that guy was healthy, he would probably take that belt off of Velveteen Dream. So this is why you have Tyler Breeze there now as another opponent. But I say Velveteen Dream is going to retain because no reason for him to lose the belt yet. But this is going to be a very good match between him and Tyler Breeze. Maybe. We'll see. Okay, Dana, who is your pick for this match?
I picked Velveteen as well. I'm terrified of him getting called up. So I would also see him winning. Also, Tyler Breeze again. He hasn't been there in NXT for so long. Or they could also just call him back up. It's kind of weird. I don't know what they're doing over there with the guys, but yeah, I do see that Velveteen will retain, and Breeze could probably continue the feud.
Absolutely. Yeah, I agree. How about you, Adam? Who's your pick for this match?
Tyler Breeze.
Oh, really?
I think they're giving him a push. I think this is the whole thing. It was like, hey, go down there. We're going to rebuild you up. Remember, he was a champ for a while there. He was the man. And that's when he came up. So it just makes sense. If you, like I said, put eyes on him, make him a champ, give him a good run, start building him up, because it's time for him to do something. In exchange, it's time for somebody to move up. And I think that I'm concerned, just like you guys, about Velveteen, but he's ready to go. He wants to go. He wants, and I think it's because of this gimmick. He wants to see if it could make it on the main stage, in front of a lot more eyes off the network. I think it can. I think it definitely can. But it's one of those things where I think he's definitely going to get moved up, and this will be the match to do it. Because he's going against a former champ, a respectable former champ. And I think they should also bring back Bo Dallas. Bo Dallas was the first NXT champ. Remember when they released that belt? That longest running champ. Was he? No, I think he was the longest running champ for a while. I don't know if he was the first. I think Seth Rollins was the first. I lose track.
Yeah. Seth was the first. Yeah.
Seth was the first. But Bo Dallas had it for a long ass time. I remember that. He had that belt, and then it was against Neville. Eventually, he had a feud with Neville and then lost it to Neville. But I see Tyler Breeze. This is it. Because I don't think Tyler Breeze is here just to fill a spot and then he's going back up. I think this is it. I think he's going to stick around for a while. The way they're promoting it, the way they're advertising him, the way he's talking about it, he's back. And this isn't like remember when they had Ascension come down to NXT and do some matches?
Oh, yeah.
You know, they just jobbed out to everybody. I don't think they won a single match when they came back. And then they went right back up to SmackDown or Raw, wherever it was. I don't think that's the case here. You know, especially when they did that in-ring promo work where he went one-on-one, you know, going back and forth with Velveteen. And Velveteen was cracking jokes. He was like, "Where's your fashion police buddy? Where's all that?" And you know, you couldn't make it up there. That's why you came down here, right? You know. So I think it's gonna be one of those situations.
Yeah, sounds good. That's a good pick. We'll see about that. Okay. Next up, we have the NXT Women's Championship match. Shayna Baszler defending against Io Shirai. So, Dana, who was your pick for this match?
Yeah, I'm a little tired of Shayna and the constant wins. She needs to drop it.
She's good though.
She is good, but it's still tiresome. So I really do want Io to win. Yeah, we'll see. I mean, remember we got cheated the last time because she was in the Fatal 4-Way, but she could actually win it this time.
Yeah, unless Shayna Baszler's buddies interfere in this match or try to screw her over, and I really hope that this is a clean finish and not one of those controversial. Oh yeah, we don't need that. It's not the main roster of WWE, so please, no controversial finish. That's good. How about you, Adam? Who's your pick?
Shayna.
Yeah,
I still see Shayna. I have a feeling they're trying to build something with her. They're trying to do something, but they don't know what to do with her on the main roster, so they're just gonna keep her around here because they did this so long with Asuka. They kept her down there forever. And they didn't know what to do with her. That's how she became the longest running champ there. They just didn't know what to do.
Well,
I even though I think Shayna is the better version of the whole Ronda Rousey type of situation.
Yeah.
She could work on the mic and she could work in the ring. So she could definitely fill that Ronda role if she gets called up.
If they don't know what to do with her, I mean, I think it's very obvious what they need to do with her, and that is have her go up to the main roster and take the belt off of Becky Lynch, because it seems like that would be an excellent feud, but obviously they're doing, Becky Lynch has to deal with Lacey Evans now. That's the feud that they're pushing, so they may not push Shayna up there yet, but whenever they take that belt off of her, if they take it off of her, then yeah, I think that's the direction to go. Have her feud with Becky Lynch next. As the next big one. But we'll see.
Yeah, because I could definitely see Shayna get called up. I definitely could see that. But then now, as we see, it doesn't matter if you drop the belt or not. You can just go in and just give up the belt like War Raiders. So it didn't even matter. That shit.
You mean the Viking experience?
Whatever you want to call it. Yeah. They're done. They're dead in the water now. I think we still haven't seen them do anything.
Yeah, they haven't gone.
I just don't get their planning. Same thing with Aleister Black. Why have him night in, night out, Raw, SmackDown, Raw, SmackDown, Raw, SmackDown, and then all of a sudden, poof, cold water. You're off TV.
He's cut. Is he still doing those videos?
Yeah, he's doing those stupid promos. For what? For what? What are you doing? We've already seen you in the matches. We've already seen you come out. We've seen your entrance. You do those promos when you're building up because you're just showing up. We already know who you are. Just come back. Cut the BS unless you're getting a new gimmick.
I don't believe they know creatively what they want to do.
You don't. He's talking in riddles. He's not doing anything. He's not calling anybody out. He's just talking. It's the same type of thing with Bray Wyatt, but Bray Wyatt has a new gimmick. So we're all excited to see how that whole thing's going to work. Like I'm still curious. I feel, and I think a lot of people, if this happens, are going to feel cheated. But I have a feeling that he's going to pull a Finn Balor with his gimmick, and that demon versus the villain, He said, "Was it? Is it the villain? What did he? The Fiend. The Fiend.
Yeah, the Fiend.
The Fiend, because the villain is Marty Scurll. That's it's already taken. But I have a feeling that when the Fiend comes out, he's only going to come out like at pay-per-view events. I don't think they're going to have him come out every night. I think it's going to be, just Wyatt coming out doing his matches. I've heard some rumors. People think that it's going to be one of those things where the light dims or he goes under the ring and he comes out as the Fiend, with the mask on. So I don't think it's going to be that cheesy. I don't see that. But because that's the thing. If he comes out always at the Fiend, okay, then when do we ever see him in the Firefly or the Playhouse situation? Only in those videos?
See, no, I see him coming out as the Firefly, and then ever so often we see him with that weird mask thing.
Yeah, it's sort of like the way Finn Balor does the Demon.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with that.
I think because remember how many people are still bitching about the whole hipster version of Finn Balor. They want the Demon 24/7. They don't want the pop collar leather jacket guy. They want the Demon with the dress coming out.
They can't do that because
that's the thing. His thing is just takes too much time and it's too expensive because they always have to hire a makeup person to do all that artwork on them. But for Finn with the Bray, it's just a mask. I mean, we haven't seen the rest of the outfit, so.
I mean, I have no idea what they're going to do with Bray Wyatt, but I cannot wait to see how bad they do it. They're definitely going to find a way to mess it up.
Well, that's the thing. Think about it. It's got to be everything, right? It's got to be different music. It's got to be a whole new entrance, right? I'm sure it's going to be a different move set. It's going to have a different finisher at least. So,
yeah.
And see how that goes.
It's going to go back into that crazy house. Remember when he did that match in the house?
With Randy.
Oh my God.
Yeah, fire.
You could buy that house. That house was for sale. Well, maybe somebody reported.
Absolutely. Oh yeah, and my opinion for this match. My pick for this match is also going to be Shayna Baszler. I want Io Shirai to win because I'm trying to think if this is supposed to be the NXT TakeOver 25. There has to be something that happens on the show that people are not expecting. So I don't know if it's this match yet, but I say Shayna for right now. We'll see what happens tomorrow. Okay, and finally the main event. We have the NXT Championship match. Johnny Gargano versus Adam Cole, baby. So, Dana, who is your pick for this match?
I am going to have to go with, I'm feeling that it's going to be a little cold. It's going to be chilly.
Uh-oh.
I think it's his time to be champion. I mean, he's really over. I don't think it'll make sense for them to call him up right now and him to just not win. Johnny Gargano, he has the title already. He could easily, I don't want him to get called up. And it doesn't mean he have to get called up. Because remember, we thought he was going to be called up the other time. But I really do think that Adam Cole needs to win. And it will be nice. And we'll finally stop having Johnny Gargano kind of run everything when it comes with storyline. So I think that it's going to be Adam Cole.
Sounds good. How about you, Adam?
Yeah, it's going to be Adam Cole. He's never held this title. He had the North American title, but he hasn't held this title yet. And it just makes sense to have him with the title. Gargano, they haven't really done much with him as champion. They haven't really advertised it. They haven't done everything like what they did with Ciampa. They haven't done that with Gargano. So it's more like you have it because of the situation with Ciampa, but that was not the plan.
Exactly.
So this is the plan. So you're just going to fill that. Eventually, Ciampa was going to drop this title and both of you guys were going to come up as a tag team. But that didn't happen because of injury. So you hold this belt for a while. We're going to put some cold water on you. And then we're going to throw you in that match and Adam's going to win. He's selling a lot of merch with those Bebe shirts. So there you go. And then he'll have that title. And if the other guys from Undisputed lose, then he could just say, see, I'm better than all of you. I don't need you guys.
Whoa.
To the curb. Yeah, I could see that. I could see that too. Or maybe they just abandon him or something happens. But I think that's going to be the big one. I think it's going to be the fallout of that group. They've been teasing it. And, usually when they tease those separate things, the big finale happens at a pay-per-view, the fallout. And I think that's what's going to happen here.
The fallout.
Yeah. And we could see them get called up. Yeah, the tag team at least. I don't know what they're going to do with Roderick Strong. But then again, why call anybody up? I mean, Triple H, like I said this was a brand. If it's a brand, you don't need people jumping up. This isn't just a developmental area now. Now this is an actual brand. So,
well, no, they'll just say that they moved them to.
Yeah, don't move anybody. Just bring people. They need to fill up because they've been taking all that big talent. Ricochet left, and Alistair left, and Andrade, but who went down? They only got Breeze.
Yeah,
Heavy Machinery left.
Yeah, I personally would not call up anybody at the moment if they are trying to. You have Aleister Black cutting promos, but then not on TV yet in matches. You have Ricochet trying to get established on Monday Night Raw. Taking losses one week and then a win the next week. So I wouldn't call anybody up quite yet, but at the same time, SmackDown definitely needs some more attention. So if they do call someone up, that's fine. We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see.
As for my pick for this match, I also have to say Adam Cole, only because that last match that they had, the 2 out of 3 falls, they just made Adam Cole. I mean, the way that Adam Cole lost, they made Adam Cole look powerless to Gargano. And the fact that Gargano also took out Kyle O'Reilly and Bobby Fish and Roderick Strong. It's like, okay, all right. So you already had these guys have all these multiple encounters. I feel like, okay, Adam Cole has to win now. Because it wouldn't make sense in any other way now. Then you can have Adam Cole go against Matt Riddle at the next takeover, if that's what the plan is. But no, Dana, you was gonna say something?
No.
Oh, okay. But yeah, it's gonna be a fun pay-per-view though, so looking forward to that for sure. So, any final thoughts or topics before we wrap up the show?
No, and please, people, stop talking about CM Punk going to AEW because they're in Chicago on the next show. I'm tired of it. Do you really want that? Think about it, people. Do you really want that? You don't want.
But you have to understand something though, Adam. That pay-per-view in Chicago is called All Out. That means they're going to go all out of their way to make people excited. So surely it's a possibility, right?
No, he's going to get booed. He's going to get booed because the people in Chicago, they already picked a side, and their side is Colt Cabana. So if anybody shows up, it'll be Colt. I think I don't know if he has a contract with Ring of Honor. I know it's a pay-by-pay. He's talked about it on his show. I think it's just pay-by-pay. He only does like the audio works and stuff, but he's not on the full-time contract. And I think that would be a big look for them to put Colt on there as opposed to Punk, because the locals have picked a side. They picked a side, and they know what a douche CM Punk is, especially when it comes to Colt. I don't know him personally. I'm just going based off what Colt had said about with the money, and his legal fees. What Punk said he was going to help him out with that. He's got millions. Colt does not have the millions. Said, hey, you got to pay my legal fees. I mean, you got me into this shit. It was you talking all this smack that got me in trouble in the first place. Nope. Too bad. Suck it up.
And
I mean,
the fact,
yeah, you don't do that for your friends. You don't do that.
and Punk also lied. Remember, he admitted it.
Yeah, and he lied. He said he couldn't even remember. He don't know who it was. So that's what I'm saying. It sucks. So the people that I think when the people that chant CM Punk and stuff like that at WWE events, they're just trolls. They're just messing with them. They don't really care. It's just something to say. Just like now, it's going to be something to say AEW or this sucks and all that stuff.
I agree.
So
Absolutely. Well, there you go. So that concludes our episode for this week. Definitely thank you all for listening. Adam, you have any shout outs that you want to give?
shout out to you guys. Shout out to Gary for not firing me. For all the shit that I put him through over the years. Thank you, Gary. Shout out to Tony and everybody in Throwdown. Shout out to the internet and everybody that's listening, and keep watching wrestling. All of it. There's a lot of it out there now. Maybe too much.
Ooh.
Ooh. He said, ooh. And how about you, Dana? Any shout outs you want to give?
Shout out to listeners and everyone who puts up with us.
Sounds good. So yes, shout out to both Adam and Dana for being on tonight's show. I know we had technical issues, but we got it done, so we're all good. Thank you all for listening. Enjoy NXT TakeOver 25, and we will talk to you all next week.